Welcome, welcome, welcome. My name is Ratish, and I'm one of the volunteer allies at Where the Black Designers. I am so freaking excited to have a Q&A with the one, the only man, myth, the legend, Chago Garcia. I'm going to gas you up more than that in a second, but amazing designer. First of all, can you all hear me and see me okay? Anybody can give me a thumbs up, make sure, cool, great, fantastic. Here's the agenda for today. We have about an hour, and I have some pre-prepared questions for Chago. I dug into his LinkedIn, I dug onto his portfolio site, I stalked him on Instagram using my Finsta. Like, there's some shit we're gonna talk about that I know about him, and we're gonna surface it. It's gonna be a lot of fun. I want this to be as useful as possible. So if any of y'all during any part of the chat have any questions, feel free to throw it into Zoom chat and I'll do my best to get that question answered, okay? And I'm hoping that if we can't get to a specific question that you have or a specific comment or whatever, Chago hopefully can be available maybe later to answer some of that stuff. But he's a busy dude. Don't go asking for an 8-hour Zoom chat with him, okay? So I want to make sure everyone's respectful of everyone's time. Okay, is that fair for everybody? Everybody good with that?
Cool.
Cool. If you're comfortable, turn on your video. I'm not going to judge you if you don't have your video on, but I do want to see your beautiful faces. It makes it a little bit better, but if you're not comfortable, it's all good. Yeah.
Also, we will be taking a group photo at the end so we can show everybody the fire session that they missed, but also, you know, like, we want to keep the community posted that we just had this amazing session and we're all here to learn and be passionate. And yeah, so.
Thanks, Mitzi. All right, so let me gas up Chago and then we'll get to some questions, okay? So Chago, designer, total fucking badass. Born and trained in DR. He currently residing in the Upper West Side, right?
Yep, that's where I am right now.
10023, baby. And currently works at Bloomberg and was selected to rep the DR for the International Tolerance Poster Campaign, both of which we'll obviously talk about, okay? So let's go. Talk me through your morning routine. What's the first thing you did when you woke up today?
Check my calendar, started freaking out of meetings or see if I want to cancel anything. Then
were you able to cancel anything?
No.
Of course. Every meeting's important.
Then brush my teeth, prepare some breakfast, do some push-ups, and then just take a shower and just start grinding.
Is that typical day for you?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right, let's dive right in. Tell us about the most efficient way to win a client.
Most efficient way to win a client is to do good work previously. Word of mouth still works a ton. You know, people can look at your portfolio. You got to keep in mind clients don't really understand what we do sometimes. So, you know, if a friend tells them that they should work with you, you just got them. You know, you're gonna win that client right away. So I think it's just be respectful, be responsible with your work, meet your deadlines, and it'll just keep on pouring after that. Just do good work and be respectful, and it'll come. Don't try to pitch in. Don't try to, you know, we're not salesmen sometimes. So our work has to speak for us, and just be responsible. If you said you're going to deliver on Monday, deliver on Sunday, and you'll get some more work. I guarantee it.
Now, what if you're like me and you have no friends who can refer you? Or what if you're like one of the early in your career and you have no real work? What do you do in that situation? How do you build your portfolio?
So you stalk your favorite designers or companies, and then you just start shooting emails. It's a numbers game. If you shoot 100 emails, you'll get reply from 2 people. Well, that's all you need to start, right? So don't be shy about that. You know, you got to write a good email, but it's a numbers game. Don't feel, it's not personal if they don't respond. There's tons of people, tons of designers in the world. So just keep on pushing, write 300 emails, and then your percentage rate will go up. So that's it. Like, don't be afraid of just reaching out. Like, I met you because of Bobby. I shot an email to Bobby, and like, I didn't know him, and it was my first year in New York. He received me, and that's where I am here now. You know, so it's just a numbers game. So don't be shy. Prepare a good email. Check for spelling errors. that thing sucks when you get an email and it's all full of like, it's, it's not written well. And just shoot as many as you can. Search for the places that you want to work for, and just find their names. You can find who's the creative director. You can find who's the client, who owns the company easily these days. So just do your homework and shoot an email. That's you'll get a reply.
Now, shout out to Bobby Martin. Does anybody know who Bobby Martin is? He runs one of the best shops. He's one of the most prolific Black designers today. He runs a shop called Champions Design. Please write that down. He's probably I have not worked for him, but if I was to work for somebody, he would be on my top 3 list.
Sure.
Please write that down. They've done some pretty cool corporate work and also some really interesting work around social causes. Okay. Now talk to me about what the hell does that email look like? Because I think a lot of designers are introverted and might be shy about that email. So what's the subject line look like? What does the actual body of the email look like? How do you sign it off? Talk me through that.
So subject, at least for mine, I'll share my experience. Mine says design is my hustle. That's my subject line. So, and then I start by my name, where I am. I'm Chago. I'm here in New York, currently looking for this or for that, whatever your interests are. Explain briefly where you come from, what you have done, and what you're willing to do, and what you can do. I think sometimes where we get stuck on what we've done and don't explain what we can actually do. So it could be a line saying that you can work for both print and digital. You can do identity systems, but you can also do a PowerPoint. You got to be versatile in what your messaging is, but be honest, be straightforward. No kissing ass. You got to be secure about yourself. And yeah, that's basically it. And it has to be kind of brief, because people don't have time these days. People are not going to read a 2-page email. You know what I mean? So be clear about your links, what you want to share, and always ask for the work that you want to do. Like, if you know how to sew, for example, you don't want to tell them that, and you don't want to do that. Don't tell them that you know how to do that, because then that's the only thing that they're going to get you work for. So project yourself. You know what I mean? So just ask for the work that you want to do, and if you're going to start with that, then get your ranks, do your time, but don't be afraid to ask. And if you want to change disciplines, that's what your emails will talk about, like what you want to do and what you can do.
Love it. Now, a couple of things off of that, and then we'll move on to something. Yeah. One thing that I love to write, because I'm a huge fan of disco, house, and techno music, I like to actually write some stuff about my passions in some of that stuff. So that way it doesn't always seem businessy. And sometimes people have the similar connection, right? Yeah. Number 2, I would recommend for anybody doing reach outs, because so many people come on Monday morning and they're already in a crummy mood, not to send an email Monday morning. Try to send an email on a different day, like a Thursday. Don't send on a Friday, because everyone's on mimosas. Everyone's on 5 p.m. is somewhere on Friday. So don't send on Mondays or Fridays, but I would recommend on a Wednesday or Thursday. Okay. Yep. Next thing, how the hell do you charge for a project? Talk us through how you price yourself. Yep. Do you say an hourly rate? Do you say a flat fee? How do you basically throw down your initial number?
So this is something that you're constantly learning. Like, I think we designers, at least, I have 13 years of experience. It's not much, but you start learning by trial and error. Because at the beginning, it's like, there's so many work that I've done that I didn't get paid for. And that's a headache. And then you get mad at people, but there's ways to do that. So basically, like, nowadays I charge by the hour, because I know how much time a project is going to take me, and that only experience can teach you that. So I think, like, if you're starting off, you can start off with flat rates. Just think about, ask your friends, ask people you've worked for, ask your teachers, like, what you can charge, because industry varies. Listen, I come from the DR, the Dominican Republic. $1 equals 62 pesos. So that means Dominicans have to get 62 pesos to buy $1. But a bottle of Coke costs the same here and it costs the same back in the DR. So you could imagine like the whole, it's a whole different budget system. So I can't charge over there what I can charge here. Obviously, my expenses here are much greater, but I have so much return on my time here. So it varies. So just ask around. You can ghost other studios, for example. That's a good trick I've learned. So it's like you write a profile and then you're like a fake client, and then you just ask the studio like how much an identity would cost, how much a booklet would cost. They'll send you a quote, and then you can start comparing, and you can see what the industry is charging for certain jobs. So you can't just come up with a number out of your ass. It doesn't work that way, because then competition is just gonna run over you. So ask around, get some quotes, and then just take it from there.
Now, pretend I'm the client and I say, Chago, why are you charging me, let's say, $10,000 for a logo? What's the value in that? Like, why can't I just go to Fiverr and just buy some logo on there? Like, what's the value? What is that going to do for my business? So what do you say? How do you help them see that?
Yeah, I always usually show them a process of what I do and how I do things. And it takes time. I show them like those Q&As. I show them that I'm invested. I show them that I'm interested in their project or product or whatever it is. If they want to go to Fiverr, you know what? Just let them go. It's not a client for you. Sometimes we're trying to win over people that are going to be a pain in the ass down the road. So just want to go to Fiverr, go to Fiverr. Do your thing. Like let's keep on going. You don't want there's a saying in DR that say translates to like, we can't win all the money that's out there. It's sometimes whatever's for you is whatever's for you. So yeah, just explain your process. If they show they're interested and they understand what you're doing, then that's a good client. If not, then just let them go wherever they want to go. We have to. I've learned that we have to have some pride in what we do. So it's not about selling out. We're not prostitutes here. So we're professionals. We invest the time. And we're going to deliver something that's quality, and you just show them your work, explain your process, and if they get it, hey, they get it.
Now, when a client gives you an 8-page long contract for you to sign, yeah, with all this legal language, what do? Do you check with your lawyer? Do you read? Yeah. Do you roll over and say, all right, fine, just give me the money, I just need this business? What do you do? Because I feel like a lot of designers need that guidance.
Yeah, read it. Find somebody who can read it for you, because you don't know what you're signing. So it could be that you're doing a project and you've invested so much time, and then for whatever reason, technicality, then you just lose all your time and you just don't get paid. So if you're gonna sign it, read it. If not, propose a more simpler contract from your end. See if they accept. But don't sign away like just because you want to get that money. Read what you're signing, and if not, just propose a counter contract that's just simpler to understand, and maybe they'll go for it. So
awesome. Now, what time limit do you generally give clients in terms of to pay? Is it net 30, net 15 upon receipt? What do you do?
Listen, in the DR, you know how much time it is? It's like 4 months to get paid after you deliver the project. So but here, I've had no issues. It's always been 30 days or less. So I think things work differently here. So that's a good thing. So yeah, I'm comfortable with 30 days. It usually takes 30 days to do a project or a couple of projects. If not an identity, that could take 6 months. But yeah, 30 days is fine.
Now, do you ever have an engagement where you actually bill, let's say, 25% up front, give me a down payment, and then 25% half the work completed, and then 50% at the end, something like that, just to hedge your bets? Or no? How comfortable are you with that?
50.
Got you. Cool.
50. Like, for example, now I'm freelancing with Bloomberg. I can't ask for that, but they do pay me weekly. So, it's like a week of work, I get paid at the end of the week. So it's not a major problem. That's benefits of working with big corporations sometimes. They have so much cash flow, and if you're good with the financial team there, they can arrange certain payments. But if it's like, working with independent companies or the startups, or 50-50, I won't go for less.
Now, I have two white clients that
Yeah.
each owe me about $5,000.
Yeah.
True story. And they still haven't paid after about a year and a half. What do you do what would you recommend? Because I feel like a lot of people of color get burned as fuck, get not getting paid. So what do you do if people don't show the receipts? Don't show the money.
So I think first we have to avoid that. And how we avoid that is by getting a contract. This is something I've learned like on, in time. It's like, okay, I won't work without a contract. Now there's things like Upwork, for example, they'll give you a contract and they'll only take like $5. So, it's easy to do these stuff. But I've been in your place, and I've done some weird shit to get my money. So back home, I think I threatened somebody once. I've even written on their like Facebook profile. Yeah, all these stupid stuff. Yeah. I mean, you don't do that anymore because you grow out of it. But oh hell yeah, I mean, they put you to work. They don't want to pay you. I'm gonna shame you. So it doesn't look. It's you don't benefit from that because professionally it doesn't look good at the end. But when I was 21, when I was 22, I would shame people anywhere. Give me my money. I remember I did something for a restaurant, I think it was. Yeah, so they wouldn't pay. So I just went and just ate. I made a tab that was worth whatever they owed me. And then I just left. So yeah, but professionally now, no, you can avoid that by proposing contracts and payment agreements. It's easy. That's easy to do right now.
Tiffany and Patience in the chat are asking me for their addresses because I think they're gonna help me out with this in some sort of way. So yeah, Tiffany and Patience, I'll their addresses. Now, is there any personality trait or a way you can suss out somebody who's not gonna pay? Like, can you read people before you sign a contract to be like, this person seems sketchy?
Yeah, because they don't want to sign it right away. They're like, why do we have to sign this? Like, they don't want to get their terms clear. They won't respond an email saying that they approved whatever the terms were. They just stay silent, and then they just calling you and they pretend that a phone call is going to solve everything. There's people they don't want to be on the record. So that's how right away that things will not go as they should. They ask you for a start day. It could be like, let's say next Friday. But they have to deliver some information to you, and then they deliver the next Friday. Things are going to go wrong. So if you have to be responsible, and the client has to be responsible for things to work as planned. So just look out for those things. Like, they won't respond an email. They'll always call you. They're trying to text you. They're very informal in whatever that you're dealing with. So they'll text you like at 11 p.m. in the night through your phone. Like, yeah, we're going to start. Like, bro, like, I sent you an email. Just respond to that email so that I can have it on record. So, stuff like that.
Got you. Thank you for that. Now, Michael in the chat has asked, for you to like give us a little lay of the land on like some of the differences you've noticed freelancing for some of these larger corporations like Bloomberg and some of the small businesses and agencies. Besides some of the obvious stuff, are there any like key differences that any person who's considering getting gigs at any of those types of spots should be aware of before they sign a contract?
So big corporations, they're not very personal in how they deal with you. It's about getting the work done. You can always have a boss that's a fucking asshole, and but then corporation work, like for Bloomberg, right? The team that I'm working with now is very, very cool. They're very diverse, actually, as well, which is why I'm working with them. And so, but it works like a small studio within this whole corporation. So I could say that differences is, if you're looking for an intimate crowd or an intimate working space and where you're going to learn from somebody, look for small agencies. you know, because it's more personal. Big corporations are about getting the work done, basically just throwing emails at everybody, you know, just getting the work that goes out the window and that's it. So there's never time for feedback. So if you want them to grow, you're probably gonna make less money in a small agency, but something to get your chops in. Yeah, small agencies are a way to go because it's more intimate. You can always have somebody to help you out, somebody to critique your work. Feedback is important when you're starting out. You know, because what we learn in school, at least in art school, as soon as you start working, that's when you realize you haven't learned shit. So, yeah. So big corporations, at least on the level to make money in like 6 month period or a year, it's a good thing to do if you know if you're very comfortable with dealing with you know and you know how to work fast and you know how to deal with bureaucracy. You know, sending emails, talking to this, talking to that. But if you're looking to learn to nurture your talent, you know, look for a small agency or studio. It always works best.
All right, there's a lot to unpack here, my dear friend. So I got a few questions for you.
Yep.
One question, which is the main one, is I feel like a lot of white-led agencies, small and large, are now waking up and saying, hey, we want to be diverse. We care about Black folk. We care about brown folk.
Yep.
Can you give us, which is hella annoying, because why didn't they do this about 7,000 years ago?
Yeah.
What can you tell us a little bit about some agencies or people that you would be happy to recommend? Now, it doesn't have to be on the spot, but besides Bobby C. Martin, maybe if you could provide us, maybe in the future, would you be open to sending us a list of Black-owned agencies or Black folk designers that are?
Sure, I can send you guys a list. 'Cause I don't want to speak on top of my mind right now, but I've done some research. I've been in New York for the past 2 years, and you know, I've been trying to get into certain places. I have all these lists, people that I would like to work with. I can definitely share with you guys that through Slack. Yeah, because I think you're always trying to work with somebody you look up to, you know. So and you're trying to learn from them. And then I think, you know, you can't waste your time that much. Like when they were here, when they were not. So I think you should make the most out of your experiences or where you're going to work at, you know. And it could be maybe not necessarily, you know, this guy who has to be of African descent or Latino or whatever, but maybe the work that they're doing helps out your community as well. So that's very important to look at. You know, there's nonprofits that you can work at, you know, that have budget for designers, you know. So there's some museums, there's some cool stuff out there that you can look out for.
All right, Chago, I'm going to hold you to that. I would expect no less than 3 Black-owned agencies or designers for everyone to look up to.
I'll send that tonight. No.
My man. All right,
Yep.
Next question. This is from Patience in the chat.
Yep.
So let's say for contracted work, you're requesting half up front, right?
Yeah.
And a client kind of basically wants like an ongoing relationship with you, right? Like maybe they want to pay you hourly for an indefinite amount of time.
Yeah.
What does CYA look like? What does cover your ass look like in that situation?
I don't know. I think you would have to trust this person. I guess get a longer interview with this person. You know, talk to them more. See what their intentions are. See if the business that they're in, you know, really pays out. You know, because if it's not a front of some sort, you know what I mean. So you got to do your homework in that sense. And you know, if you believe, maybe you have to believe in the product or the company that you know that who you're working with. You know, if it's something that you know that could blow out in a month, then you know, don't risk it. But you know, I think you got to do your homework in that sense.
Yeah, and Patience, I have a couple ideas. One idea is put together some milestones that you agree with the client, saying, hey, we're going to revisit my rate every month or something like that. Because what's going to happen is they're going to get hella funding from some VC firm, and you're still going to get stuck at the same rate that you won when you should have actually doubled your rate. So you want to make sure you're always kind of revisiting your freelance hourly rate or project basis or whatever, according to how well the company is doing, right? So you want to make sure that if there's upside for the white folk, there's upside for the Black folk. So don't make sure everyone's consistently re-talking about terms and renegotiating. It doesn't have to be every month. It might be every 6 months or whatever, but that's one way to cover your ass, I think.
Or ask for some equity. If they, if it's a startup, they get funding, get your 3%, 2% in, and you can work it from there.
Now, sometimes companies that you may work for don't tell you, hey, we just got $100 million from some fund. So what I would recommend is you all sign up for daily emails from this company called Crunchbase. Crunch as in Crunchwrap Supreme, rest in peace. Base, B-A-S-E. Crunchbase.com, what you can do is you can subscribe to certain companies and you will just get a daily email whenever certain companies are fundraising. So what I love to do is whenever somebody fundraises, I'll wait a couple of days and then I'll say like, hey, you just got some funding. Let's work together. You know what I mean? So it's a great way to ensure that these companies have money and gives them enough time to settle with the PR news about getting funding and whatnot, and then try to hit them up for gigs. Does that make sense for everybody?
Yep.
All right, cool. Let's keep going. Bro, we've like covered a lot of stuff in half an hour, right? So the pace is not going to change for the next half an hour. So I hope you all are still with me. Talk to me about recruiters. Talk to me about, do you have a policy? I have a policy never to work with external recruiters because they're predatory. But
Yeah.
What's your feeling about them?
They haven't worked for me. And the 2 years I've been here in New York, I've signed up with like a whole bunch of them, because it's too good to be true. Once you get here, Creative Circle, they interview you, they're sending you daily emails, and I just don't get a response. Every time I've applied to something for that, I just don't get a response. So I just started, what works for me is basically if I want a job at a certain place, or I just find whoever takes that decision. It could be a creative director, it could be an art director, find out who they are. If they like the Knicks, tell them how sorry you are because of, the next season had just went to shit. So, and then just shoot them an email or through Instagram, like a very personal message, like your friends, and just follow them and start a conversation. That works.
I talked about this earlier in a different chat. I want everybody to make sure you watch out for predatory recruiters because it can really work to your detriment. So what I mean by a predatory recruiter is one of those recruiters, I'm sure some of y'all have had this experience, where they'll hit you up, they'll say that they got the perfect opportunity for you. They won't tell you the client. They'll tell you you're the perfect opportunity without even knowing anything about your history. And they'll have like a 10-minute chat. And all they want to know is what salary you're looking for and what you're making. That's a big red flag because all they're doing is they're just shopping around for everyone that might be in similar experience to you, maybe who looks like you or whatever. And they're just trying to shop around and they have no intent to giving you a job. So if you ever run into that situation, let me know. Give me their address, okay? While we're sharing addresses, why not? Give me them too. Watch out for them because I've had multiple times when I was at Wyden and Kennedy have these white recruiters hit me up talking about the perfect opportunity and ghost me after that first phone calls, okay? Next thing, do you think you and other designers should get paid for nonprofit work?
Yeah, why not?
How do you price it?
We should, because at the end of the day, nonprofit means that somebody's not making, like the organization as if it's not making a profit, but people, you're investing your time, so there's budget for certain things. You have to have the light on an office. You have to, they have to have a website. So if you have to do a report, you have to do a campaign, you should get paid for that. What that means, that being said, it's probably not a company that's going to make 100 million profit, but yeah, because working for a nonprofit does not mean you have to be a volunteer. You know what I mean? So it's your time, and maybe you can budget some of the money that you're going to make, but no, I mean, if I'm going to volunteer, I'm going to volunteer. If you're going to hire me as a designer for whatever it is, I should get paid for it.
Okay, I want to ask a question from Tiffany because it's really pointed. We talked a little bit about getting and cold calling via email to some of the designers that you look up to, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But talk to me about what does a cold call / email look like to a potential client? Do you have a particular template that you use? What do you do?
Yeah, I do have like a particular template. Just change the name, probably just some words in it, but yeah, it's basically offering my services, what like why my intentions of working with you are, and hopefully looking for a conversation. Like you don't want to have that huge conversation on email. You want to get them on the phone or on a Zoom chat or whatever it is. You want to see their face. You want to see their emotions. You can tell a whole bunch of somebody by their facial expression. So that's very important. That's one of the things I learned back in design school. These exercises of observation. Like if we just look at each other in our faces, we can tell so much about each other. And you start writing down things. So you want to have that face-to-face conversation at the end. It's practically just you want to make that contact, and then you want to have that conversation.
Now, do you do what I do, which is I always end my email with a yes or no question? Like, do you have time this week to chat, something like that? Or how do you end an email?
Yeah, it's like, let me know when we can chat, or just basically like letting the ball on their side so they can have to respond to me. Like, okay, I'm available any day, anytime this week. I'll make the time. Just, force them to make a decision. Because if not, then, if it's not like call to action or anything to do, you won't get a reply. You know what I mean? So
now, how many times do you spam them before you say, you know what, screw it, I'm going to move on to a different fish? Do you follow up with an email, like maybe let's say a week later or something, or do you just drop it and just do one email and that's it?
I just do one email. If I see some interest, if I see they started following me on IG, or they saw my, LinkedIn tells you who's following you now. So if you see that engagement, okay, then you follow up. If not, then I don't think it's worth it.
Yeah, because one of the worst emails to get is just a simple follow-up email that just says like, hey, just checking in, right? If there's no like additional information, what's there to talk about, right? Now,
just to waste your time.
Now, if a client starts following you on Insta, do you slide into those DMs or do you keep it on email?
It depends. Maybe they like something, maybe they like the picture of you or whatever it is, or work they got posted up. You can keep the conversation there, but at the end of the day, you want that face-to-face conversation at the end. So, keep it formal. It could be informal in certain aspects, but you always want to get to that face-to-face conversation.
Gotcha.
Know who they are. So
now let's talk about design itself. We talked a lot about getting clients, pricing them, billing them, coming after them if they don't pay you. We talked about all that stuff, and we'll continue talking about it if anybody has more questions about it. But let's move on to design, right? And inspiration. So your logo is super duper pretty. If anybody hasn't seen it, check them out on Instagram. Your logo is really pretty. Talk to me a little bit about how you created it, why you chose those colors, and maybe the importance of branding yourself.
Okay, so that logo was a gift from a colleague of mine back in school in the DR. It was like 2003. I think we were working on building our own logos at that time, and he just happened to stumble upon the idea of taking the G and converting it to a C, and it stuck with me since that day. I haven't had the need to change it. I've changed the colors and all that stuff, but it's always been that black and white. Now I'm using like black and white and green. But yeah, that was a gift. I can't say I designed it. I know typefaces were used, I think with Garmin or I think it was Garmin of some sort. But yeah, that's a gift from my old buddy Omar.
Okay, now here's an idea. How does this resonate with you? For any of the folks who need logo practice or identity practice, what do you think about like asking one of your friends to design your stuff and you both design each other's stuff? Do you think that's going to make or break relationships?
No, it could work. It could work. I mean, as long as there's no money involved, it would work.
Right.
You know what I mean? So if it's just like, if you can trust somebody or you just have fun with it, yeah, it shouldn't be an issue. It should be a fun project to do.
Because we could have Olivia could meet up with Terrell and they could, do each other's stuff, and it might be good practice, right?
For sure.
You obviously don't want to get into the thing where it breaks up your friendship. A logo is not worth breaking a friendship over. Unless it's not really that great of a friendship anyways. Maybe this is just your way out.
Yeah.
But you want to, it's a good practice, right? That's interesting.
Yeah. Because, I don't know if any of you guys have so much trouble organizing your own portfolio. It's just like you're talking to yourself all day and you don't know what to, should I put this? Should I put that? And then somebody just comes and says, yeah, just put this, put that. And that's it, you're set. So it's always easier when you look at yourself or you have somebody look at you from the outside. you won't have all these, deep mind conversations that'll drive you nuts. So,
Right. Now, a question that I always get from some of my mentees is, Ratish, what's unique about me, right?
yeah.
And so sometimes I'll tell them, and sometimes it's based on their interests, sometimes it's based on their heritage, sometimes there's so many different things. What's the process in which somebody should go through, like finding their own uniqueness, and say, like, this is basically telling a potential client on the website, this is why you should hire me versus anybody else. And regardless of quality of work, that's like a given, assuming like two designers are the same quality. How would you want people to think about differentiating themselves to make them unique?
You have to be honest with yourself. See what things that you think you can improve with yourself. Critique yourself first. And then see what your flaws are, and then see what good things you have. But you have to be super honest with yourself. Like you're not gonna fool yourself. I mean, you can fool yourself, but you cannot fool somebody that's looking at you. You know what I mean? So, I think it's just about honesty. Get to know who you are. Know what your flaws are. Be honest about them. That's everybody has them. So, just be honest.
Yeah.
We need more these days. So.
I love that. And Patience dropped in the chat this idea of swapping complementary services, right? So maybe one of your friends is a photographer, maybe they do your headshots and you do their logo, right? Swapping that. I love that. What I would recommend though is make sure each of your websites shout each other out, right? Make sure you have, like on my website, for example, I have a list of people I've worked with in the past. And when I get hit up by a potential client, I'm not able to take on the work, whether I'm not interested or whatever. They have a list of people, and they love that, right? They have like, oh man, Ratish can't work with me, or whomever can't work with me, but I know he knows other people. And that's exactly what happened the way we met, because I hit up Bobby and I said, hey, Bobby Martin, would you like to chat? He said, I'm not available on this specific day. Here's a list of folks. You're one of those folks. Do I think of Bobby being better or worse or the same? I think of even better of a resource than I initially thought of, right?
Referring, you have to push.
Right. Love it.
Sharing is caring, as they say.
Love it. Okay. Now, when you're creating a brand, how cognizant are you that the typefaces are Black designer created?
I have to be honest about this. When we talked last week, that never even crossed my mind, to be honest. I think I've held, my skills as a designer, as I was trained, I just think about the form itself, not necessarily who did it. Sometimes what I do is I have a huge library of type foundries that are from Latin America, stuff like that. And they have certain traits that I know that I'm looking for if I want to do a certain project. But because who designed it? No, not necessarily. Now, what I am cognizant of is about the projects that I'm, like, more and more as I've gotten older, the projects that I'm working with, what are the intentions of these projects? Like, for example, I know my friend is watching from the DR, Luis. We stated early back then that we would not work for politicians in the DR because they were just so corrupt, whatever party they came from. So, I'm more cognizant about the industry, what they do, how it helps people, or what it doesn't. But no, I can't say I've been cognizant about, like, okay, I'm choosing this font because it was designed by this person or this person. I just think about the form itself. I collect fonts like a DJ collects vinyl. You know what I mean? So it's just like, okay, I can use this font for a perfect project. Maybe in the future it's going to talk about certain things. And I buy them, I collect them, and it's that's the way I design or think about fonts in that sense.
It's interesting. It's an interesting conversation. I asked Cheryl Miller this weekend a pretty similar question, and in the middle of the question, she's like, "Hold up! Just create your own fucking typeface."
Yeah.
And so I think that's very empowering for people who know how the hell to do typeface design. I don't.
Yeah.
However, I do know that there's a typeface design fund that one of the former people of TDC has floating around. If anybody's interested in learning typeface design for free, this is open for BIPAC only folks. Post in the chat or DM me or whatever in the Slack channel, because I think that could be a great way to improve representation.
Yeah, there should be more of us doing that, because it's such an important instrument in design, if not the most important one. and it can embody so much of a culture, of a feeling, of a thinking, of you know, and it's so hard to do actually. So, but it's super important.
100%. Now, you could use the intellectual argument and say, okay, myself as a person of color reappropriating a typeface done by a white designer, right? But that still gives visibility to the white designer, and continues to give them money through Monotype or Adobe Typekit or whatever. So what I'm going to do for y'all is drop a link to a document of a bunch of Black type designer foundries and type designers. And what I found, for some of my projects, if possible, go through it and use this as my first resource. I don't go to Typewolf. I don't go to Adobe Kit. I don't go to Google Fonts. I go to this first.
Yeah.
And what I found is really interesting is the constraint of only seeing about 150 typefaces to choose from rather than 10,000.
Yeah.
And so, what do you think about that, Chago?
It makes your life so much easier. At the end of the day, your design gets more, it gets refined because, you know, design needs some constraint. If you have total freedom, you're going to create nothing. So I think that's a good tool to use, for sure. Super interesting. I'll shout out one of my friends from the DR who's like in lettering. He's just fucking killing it. His name is Champola. I'll just write it here on the Zoom thing, the Zoom chat. You can look for his Instagram. He's Afro-Dominican, just killing it with type right now.
Don't keep us waiting. Give us the tip. There it is. Finally, there we go. Finally, damn. All right, let me just really quickly pull this up because I can't like not. This is gonna be on my mind for the next 15 minutes, so I just gotta look at it now.
It's amazing right now.
Oh, Maron, this is super tight. The Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter image is really, really nice. There's a lot of cool stuff happening. Thank you for posting that.
Yeah, he's cool.
Mitzi saying this poor man. Come on. So something that you should know, there's two type designers and foundry owners that I want to give a shout out to. One is named Trey Seals.
Yep, I've seen.
If y'all are familiar with Trey Seals, you're familiar with him?
Yeah, he has this font, Martin, I think it is from the I Am a Man poster. I think he redrew that. Yeah, I bought that font the other day, yeah. Super
pretty.
Yep.
The second one is this foundry called Velveteen. It is an open source foundry by a French, I believe it's a Black French foundry owner, and pretty much everything is free.
Okay.
I use two of those typefaces on my invoices, and they're very, very pretty. So I am not getting paid. I'm not getting paid by either of these places to tell you about this. I'm not advertising. I'm not an affiliate or any of that bullshit. I just genuinely like this type.
Velveteen, is it on Instagram also?
Velveteen is on Instagram. Yes, sir. Absolute fire typefaces. Let me actually tell you which ones that I actually use. Give me a sec. Actually, you know what? No, I'm going to make you all work for it. If y'all are interested in it, DM me. Okay? I can't just give this away for free. Okay? So, next thing. We have about another 15 minutes. If we go over by about 10 hours, are you okay with that? Can you stay on?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, cool. If a client or a leader in your organization commits a microaggression, what the fuck do you do?
Confront it right away.
How do you do it?
Just stand up, speak, and if just tell them what it is. Can't keep silent anymore. Like for nothing. There's no time to waste. So just stand up, confront it, be respectful. If he gets aggressive, then just walk away. But you gotta hold your ground, tell them to their face what it is, and don't be afraid to stand up. Because if it happens once, it's gonna happen twice. You know what I mean? So, just cut it right away. Don't be afraid.
Now, are you ever afraid of getting fired?
No.
Why not?
Because I know I can still work. It's not. I'm afraid of my arms getting cut off. Like, how am I gonna design after that? But fired, I can always get another job. You should be confident in that sense.
Yeah, they've got those bionic arms. You'll be fine if your arm gets chopped off, right?
You know what I mean? So no, you get fired, you got fired. Just gonna get another job. If you got fired, then you shouldn't be in that place. If you quit, then you shouldn't be in that place.
Gotcha.
Don't be. at the end of the day, nobody cares. Like nobody cares about you more than yourself. So if don't be afraid of those things. Everything will work out at the end.
Now let's talk about some hiring/growth questions, and then let me get some rapid fire questions. And then maybe there's a few minutes later to chat about more stuff. All right. How's that sound to you, Chago?
Cool.
All right. What do designers need to learn how to do more? And how should they learn how to do it?
They should learn that design is a business. Treat it as a business as well. And they should learn how to write as well. We're in the business of communication, and sometimes we can't even know how to express ourselves verbally very well. Or in a written manner. We can make something beautiful. We can make a nice book. We can make a nice identity. Sometimes we don't know how to justify what we're doing, what we're saying, what we're selling. So I think grammar, learn how to express yourself, and learn that this is a business. If you don't know about the business, if you don't know how to handle a business, get somebody who does. Need a partner in that sense. You can't be sending invoices and thinking about bills and thinking and designing at the same time. It just doesn't work out sometimes. You know what I mean?
Micah, RISD, Stanford D School. Do we need art schools anymore?
Listen, I came from a school that's only had the 2-year program. And it's basically translates to 6 months per year. So it's basically just a 1-year course. I find it sad when I talk to people I meet here that have like $100,000 in debt. The school I went to, if in total, it was just $10,000. I think no, you don't need the school, but you do need the interest and digging skills. How do I use all these tools that we have today, from YouTube to books to asking people? You can make it that way for sure. I mean, I've never been asked about my diploma. You know what I mean? My work speaks for me. So you don't need the school, but I think people go to school is because they want some guidance. So if that could be a colleague, a friend, or just courses, well, yeah, I don't, in that sense, you don't need it.
What's the biggest problem in the world that designers should help solve, and how should they help solve it?
Biggest problem in the world is communication between cultures. I think we always think that we're different than somebody else, or people think that we're different in some sort, and we're in the business of communication. I think we have responsibility to get these messages across. We can do that beautifully. It could be from posters, it could be from books, it could be from even video editing. I think we have that power in our hands right now. Just getting people to talk, just with empathy, no confrontation, just getting people spaces where they can just have a nice conversation. I think that's what we need right now.
Now, the chat is blowing up with a ton of questions. I promise we'll get to all of them.
Yep.
But let's keep leaning on this idea of communicating between cultures. You have this beautiful poster that you've created for Mirko Illich's led campaign called the Tolerance Campaign.
Yes.
Now we'll talk about the next steps beyond just creating a poster, but I do want to give send the link in the chat real quick. It is a gorgeous poster. I love this idea of tolerance over nationalism.
Yeah.
That speaks, I think, really, really well. Talk to me a little bit about what do you think are the next steps beyond a tolerance poster campaign?
I think it's engaging and having that conversation. I think people see things and then there's no follow-up. You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, so what you think about it? Let's discuss it. Let's have an argument, a good argument. What can we talk about? What's your experience of sharing these stories? I think we just need to engage more. Things sometimes stay, especially now in the digital world. If you're not posting every day, then a post you did a month ago is like 10 years old. It's just I think we need follow-up. We need to engage. We need to have a conversation. We need to have more of this, more of chats like this, where people can hear us talk, where I can hear anybody else talk. And that's how we start. That's how we get places.
Now, something I would love to tell Mirko is now that the tolerance campaign is over, we should move over to acceptance, right? Like
Yeah.
I would love to see an acceptance poster. Tolerating is good. That's like, okay, I'm okay with you being in the same universe as me, but actually accepting is a different step. So I'd love to see an acceptance campaign. That'd be super dope.
Well, why don't we start it?
If anybody's down, let's go. Michael, Patience, Ashley, Jacqueline, let's fucking do this.
Yeah, let's organize it and start it us. Why not?
Okay, so next thing, and then we're gonna get to some of the questions in the chat. Let's talk about your DR experience. What did the graphic design books look like in DR? Were they hella white?
Oh yeah, it was basically the books that we studied with or back in school. This was a school that was taught in Spanish. All the books were in English. You know, those of us who knew English, you know, benefited from that. But you know, they were visual, but it was basically like the secondhand shop of whatever Parsons wanted to throw away from their library. That's what it was. There wasn't much things about Dominican designers, maybe because there weren't as much, or maybe because it wasn't documented as much. But all the books were just like secondhand shop from whatever Parsons threw back to that school, because it was affiliated to Parsons.
Now, are there any graphic design elements or approaches that are uniquely DR? Like when you see them or you see the process, you kind of can get an idea that it might be from DR?
Oh yeah. It's very haptic. You know, it's done with the hands a lot. Vibrant colors, kind of like borderline illustration. You know what I mean? It feels free. I can share with you guys, and this you'll guys love. I have a friend, Maurice. He was the first art director I worked with. And he basically documents Dominican vernacular graphic culture. He has a book about it.
I think we all need that book. Drop that in the chat at some point.
So it's called, okay, here it is. Look for this on Instagram. It's called it translates to the tropical flow. So it's El Flow Tropical. And that's just a beautiful compilation. So yeah, you can buy the book. He has a link on his bio. But yeah, it's you guys will flip out with that account.
That's awesome. Now, are there any other designers that you want to give a shout out from the DR?
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to my friend Luis and his partner Emmanuel. They're running a studio called Moto Studio. They're doing video, motion graphics. They're doing mapping. Killer ass dudes. I used to work with Luis for a long time. So yeah, it's called Moto Studio TV. So I'll put that link here. Moto Studio. Yeah, amazing work from them guys. It's super futuristic, super well done. I mean, incredible work.
What I love about this is if people have visibility into just one account they could look up to, right? They can then look at all the other stuff that they're following and all the people that they're tagging. So just one account means so much. So thank you for opening up our world. Appreciate it.
Branched out, yeah.
All right, cool. So let's keep boogieing. Chago, we're definitely gonna go longer than this. I hope you're ready.
I'm fine.
We're definitely gonna go longer than an hour. Now, what are some atypical industries that you recommend maybe some folks in the audience consider? There are, of course, the agencies that we all know from the Working Not Working top 50 agencies. Pretty much all of them are hella white. You know, we know about all those. Those are easy to find. They're easy to Google. But what are some industries specifically that you think might be good, that are atypical, that people might not be thinking about, that might be a great application of design, but generally doesn't have like this huge exodus to getting designers over to their industry?
So where I come from in the DR, it's like industry standards are basically alcoholic beverages, supermarkets, you know, all this traditional stuff. Finance, for me at least, starting with Bloomberg, branched me out in the sense that it's so pure of design, whatever that you're doing, super clean and everything. And at least I know like us people of color don't tend to even look up to finance as an industry that we want to work in. You know, sometimes we're just you know, we want to spend the money, but we don't. So it's super interesting to look at finance. Another thing is, so there's a whole bunch of startups now, but if you think about like all these do-it-yourself industries, in the sense like a small bike shop. There's people creating products with bikes. I think bikes have sold out. Like during the pandemic, I think is one of the hardest things to get right now is a bike. So think about all the design elements a bike has. You know, I think we don't even think of it as a design object. So, you know, things like that. Fitness is huge right now. Also, look to your local, for example, your local restaurant that you like. Maybe they need some help, you know, or your local mom and pop shop. Like, you know, maybe they need some help. So and that should open a whole bunch of things that, and you know, as designers, we can do so much. We can do from an Instagram post. We can do from a storefront. We can help them out even just with invoicing or their process or customer service. You know, think about all these things that we can just help out people that need help right now.
Love it. Now, for any of the introverts, what's a great opening line or question when you're at a dinner party and you don't know anybody? What do you talk about? Like, besides, do you come here often?
Okay, so you get drunk first, and then everything will just change. No, I'm kidding. You have a couple of drinks, and then you just start talking. No, I think, you know, share your story, share where you come from. That's you know, if that's always, you know, because people don't know your story. So if you can share where you come from and people are interested, you're gonna have a great conversation. If not, you know, just talk to somebody else. I think we're always trying to project ourselves in a way that as we see what we want to do, but I think, you know, our backstory, you know, what's your experience? Where do you come from? Like, what's different from my culture than yours? You know, you can talk about your names. Like Dominicans have, for example, weird ass names, and they're just like 3 names chopped up, put together. And, you know, so, but yeah, an icebreaker would be like, you know, just say hi, be polite, make sure that you know you announce that you got there. It's like, you know, hey, I'm Chago, nice to meet you all. Make sure everybody looks at you. If you're shy, then you know that you won't meet somebody. So just go in, have a drink, present yourself loud, and it should work.
When the drinks are flowing and whatnot, one of the questions I always like to ask, like a whole group, it's a really fun as a group, is imagine you're on a hot summer day on a beach. What's the worst food to bring with you? And the answer is pretty much always fettuccine alfredo, because who wants to eat fettuccine alfredo on a beach with no bathroom around? You know what I mean? But only do that question. Don't have that as an opening line. That's weird.
You're not gonna get any business out of that one.
Yeah. All right. Let's do some 10 rapid fire questions, and then hopefully we'll have some time for everyone to ask some additional stuff. So 30 seconds or less. If you could tell a 10-year-old why they should be a graphic designer, what would you say?
Because everything they're playing with and using has been designed by somebody.
Outside of practicing their craft more, how can you learn to design faster and be more efficient with your process?
Ask. Don't be afraid to put out work. You know, it could be that the last project that you didn't come out as you wanted to, but you know, always go back and criticize it and see what worked and what didn't, and just learn from there.
If you really fuck up on a project,
yeah,
you missed a deadline, whatever, how do you fix the situation and repair your relationship?
Be honest. If you keep on lying, it's gonna get worse. So if you miss the deadline or you're gonna miss the deadline, shoot an email, shoot a note. Hey, I'm not gonna be able to deliver on time because of this or this. Be honest, because as soon as you start lying, then the lies pile up, and then it just gets worse.
Do you think a person can specialize in 2 very different industries, like advertising and tech, or do you think somebody should pick a lane?
My experience is you can be an expert in two fields, if you like them, if you like the subject matter. If you're doing it because of money, then you're gonna get frustrated at one point. But if you really do like the subject and the 2 industries that you're working for, yeah, it shouldn't be a problem.
I personally feel that one of the most gratifying things is actually building products. If you could be a graphic designer at a place where they're actually building an app or building a website instead of just doing the advertising, I find that personally very empowering. So if anybody wants to talk about product design or whatnot, hit me up.
And there should be design elements in each of those processes.
Sure.
So yeah. So
what are some physical stretches people should do for people who use computers all the time, just like us? What do you do?
I take like 2-hour walks or an hour walk. You know, just move everything, move your legs. I try to find that hour a day to go walking. That way I, you know, get to see what your surroundings are. You can get to see the city, you can observe, like no headphones, just whatever's out there. Like disconnect completely from all these computers and phones that you have all day. So
what do you do for your mental health?
I meditate. I learned how to meditate like a year or 2 years ago.
You do it every day? What's your routine like?
3 minute meditation.
Every morning?
Every night, basically. I just decompress. Yeah.
Got you. Cats or dogs?
Dogs.
There you go. Do you think young designers should be focused on having a signature style or showing that they could do pretty much anything under the sun?
Experiment, experiment, experiment. Now, there's some people who are lucky enough to find their own style and be good at it so early. But I think people should experiment first and then see what they like and see, you know, what comes out of that. Because if not, then, you know, I think you're going to be leaving out so much potential on other stuff. So yeah, experiment, experiment, experiment. Maybe you can emulate one design style from the 80s or from the 90s, challenge yourself. You know, there's always a little room for style for some projects. You know, maybe I want to make this look like, you know, very modernist, or I want to look this kind of grunge. You know, test yourself, yeah.
Zoom chat, y'all got to keep it, you know, don't get so catty about dogs versus cats. We all know dogs are better because they're smarter. Studies have shown that. They have more neurons. I'm just kidding. I'm just trying to rile up Tiffany. What's your favorite healthy and delicious and easy to make meal?
Oh, it's basically, I just had it today, and it's a cabbage salad with chicken breast.
Awesome.
Yeah.
What are the 3 best restaurants maybe in, let's do New York City and then maybe the DR?
Okay, so New York City, Scar Pizza on Orchard Street in the Lower East Side. Black-owned pizzeria, has one of the best pizzas in New York. He mills his own flour. Amazing, amazing pizza. Jackson Heights, Queens, it's called Birria Tacos. Amazing ass tacos. The line is like, for a food truck, it's like an hour and a half to wait to get it. It's totally worth it. Those are my top 2. Top 3, Crown Heights, Dominican restaurant, opened in 1982, I think it was. It's called Puerto Viejo. So yeah, that thing survived gentrification and everything, so it's still there. So Puerto Viejo in Crown Heights, Brooklyn. DR, the oldest sandwich shop in the city, is called Barra Payán. Just amazing sandwiches. I think it's been open for like 60 years, and it only closes on Christmas Eve. So it's open 24 hours and it's never closed. What else is there? A friend designer from Taiwan, who's just like, he can do anything. It's called Papa Upa, very good restaurant. So this guy left Taiwan to the DR because he didn't want to go into the military, and he just happened to go to the design school I went to, and then, you know, he's just so good at what he does. He came to New York. He got a full scholarship for Parsons, then went back to the DR and he's opened like 2 restaurants just because his mom can cook and he could just open a restaurant wherever the fuck he wants. And for another one, so Las Terrenas, which is the northern coast of the island, huge Afro-Caribbean community. It's called Samaná, and it's basically slaves who were trying to escape the South, especially from South Carolina. They all got on a boat back and went to the DR. This was like 1800s or something. And they created this community called Samaná, and they still speak English there. So there's this lady at the beach called Ramona, and she just cooks up fresh seafood right there. So
Amazing list. That's awesome. Thank you. Now, how do you, I don't want to give you the answer.
Yeah.
How do you pronounce cooking bananas? It's a synonym for cooking bananas. You know exactly what they are, but I don't want to say the word and it starts with a P. How do you pronounce them?
Plátano?
Okay. Yeah. But in English, how do you pronounce it?
Plantain, you mean?
Yeah, okay, so plantain. Okay, gotcha. Michael was really pushing for a different answer.
Oh, okay.
I
Yeah,
didn't-
plantain, yeah. Your plantain, yeah, we say plátanos.
Okay, sure. All right, perfect. Everyone's going nuts in the chat, my dude. All right, RFPs, yes, no?
Depends. If it's a big project and you think the client is serious and it's worth the time to invest in it, yeah, good work. If not, then just don't waste your time with it.
All right, 3 more, and then we'll go to the audience if they have any more.
Yep.
1, what are some projects we can look forward to that you're going to be doing? Anything you talk about? Name drop?
So I did some posters. I have some posters on my Instagram account that I did during COVID. So I have like 12 more I haven't shown. So see if I can get together, screen print them this winter to maybe do a show for spring or late winter.
Are you open to being a mentor for any of the attendees if they ask you?
Yeah, I am, yes. I was a teacher. I missed my teaching days. So if anybody, like I taught graphic design history and I taught typography, not designing typography, but how to use typography. If anybody needs some help with that, I'm so willing to help anybody out.
Bam. Are you hiring / need help with any projects? You've spent almost an hour and a half with us. How could we repay you? Do you need help with anything? Anything the community could help you with?
No, let's keep the conversations going. I mean, that's what I think. What I need is basically I need to meet some more of my colleagues here. I've been in New York for 2 years. I know just a few people. So you can reward me with your friendship and just, gather someday and just have a drink somewhere.
Awesome. I absolutely love it. Thank you for spending time with us. So we got about, I don't know the number of questions, if anyone's keeping counting. It was something like 40 or 50. Some of these were very deep, pressing questions, and some of them were a lot lighter. Thank you for allowing us to explore that spectrum. I think we're pretty much wrapped. That was quite an hour or so. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you guys for having me. I mean, that's a total pleasure to be talking to, and hopefully we can keep this conversation going.